When we embarked on doing, on working on the issue of poverty, I realized right away that I think people, at least people who are interested by this kind of issue, know what's going on today pretty much. No, not everything, of course, because we can't know everything, but they are aware of the problem with international debt, the problem with forcing privatization on third world countries, the problem of forcing them to open their market, this kind of thing. We hear about that all the time. There are a lot of people who talked about that. But what I realize is that what people don't know or don't realize is that didn't start recently. It started like 500 years ago. And because if you want, for me, we created a system that is totally entrapping us, if I could say, Not that I make it like, oh, we didn't know, we did it, we had no idea. No, of course, we knew very well what we were doing, but, I think the problem started 500 years ago in 1492, when the Europeans decided to expand brutally, their territory and go, of course, in South America and Africa and all that. That's for me the beginning of globalization, and it's the beginning of modern time. And if you want, what happened is that I say we entrapped ourselves because the system we created is based on the resources of the South. Today the countries of the North cannot live without the resources of the South. If, let's say, for the sake of argument, all the countries of the South unite and say, hey, we will not give you any more access to our resources, the northern economy collapse immediately. America, Europe, Japan, Korea, all these economies collapse because they all need, China, of course, they all need access to to the resources of the South. And the thing is that if you think about it, all these power that were the European countries at the time, come from this very small country, Spain, Portugal, France, UK, even worse, Belgium and Holland, and these small countries managed to build these empires. How did they do that? Well, of course, they did that by stealing the resources of the South and by transforming their population in slaves. So they had free labor on top of free resources. And today the situation is that we cannot function without these resources. And we cannot function without these resources paying them at maybe 5 or 10% of their value. Our economy is based on this system. And it's an absolute trap because, as you saw, one of the experts, says in the film at the end, he says, today we are consuming 30% more than what the planet can regenerate. So if it's the case, of course, and as we all know, well, pretty much, is that 20% of the population consume 80% of the resources, meaning the 20% of the northern population, consume 80% of the resources, which means that, of course, all the population of the South have nothing more or less left to develop, and if we consume 30% more than what the planet can regenerate, it simply means that because the world population increases every year, if we want to maintain our level of consumption, our level of waste, our level of, of great lifestyle in the North, it means that we have to plunge more and more people below the poverty line in the countries of the South. It's a mathematical issue, because either we change the system, or we will have, as the last card of the film says, 20,000 children more or less die every single day of poverty-related causes. So either we change the system, or we will continue to kill more and more people every day.